Good afternoon, everyone. How are you guys doing today? Having a good weekend? All right, awesome. So I'd just like to introduce myself. My name is Rashmi, and I'm the COO of UniHawk Education. Happy to meet all of you, and happy to see that you've taken your first step towards exploring your future career paths. Fantastic decision to come here to visit these universities, to speak to people, and get hands on information. I just want to quickly show you one of our students' stories, and I'm hoping that this will be interesting for you and that this will be your journey tomorrow.
Hi, my name is Garv. I'm in year 13 and I've been with UniHawk for about a year and a half. Before UniHawk, I was kind of lost in the application process as a whole because I didn't quite know what to do, how to apply, all of that sort of stuff. So I think I was just going into it blind. So UniHawk really helped me figure out a lot more information that I needed when I was applying. So the biggest thing for me was that my counselor, John, didn't just tell me this is what college they're looking for, but he also helped me discover things about myself that I didn't know before and identify my own strengths and weaknesses. So for example, he helped me discover that I was really good at communication, public speaking, innovation, and entrepreneurship, which are all things that I didn't really solidify before. But after meeting with John and the UniHawk experience, that really helped my understanding. This one time when we were doing an essay activity. So before writing the essays, we had to do a bunch of, quizzes and things like that. And that's when we went down a list of everything that's happened to me in the past. And one key thing that stood out to me was that I was stubborn in the sense that I wouldn't give up. So like these sort of anecdotes and things like that was really helpful to include those in my personal statement. So the SATs were very important to my college application journey, and Mr. Javed, he was actually very encouraging and open because whenever I would have a question, I could easily approach him or send him a text message, which he would reply and give me the exact answer that I was looking for, which helped me score 1530. So my counselor, Arisha, she knew everything about the college application process. She was like, the internet, but better. So whenever I had a question, I would go to her, and she just had endless answers. There was nothing that she didn't know, and she's the reason why I was able to keep up with my deadlines and my essays. So yeah, finally I got accepted into Tulane, Virginia Tech, University of Virginia, Purdue, Wisconsin Madison, UC Irvine, and UC San Diego, which is my top choice right now. I would recommend UniHawk to everyone who's kind of looking for direction in the college application journey. They're very helpful and the counselors are very open and fun to hang out with. Thank you, UniHawk, for helping me on my application journey, and I hope you continue to guide students like me.
I hope that was an interesting video to see. You see, I think one of the things that he said that really stood out for me was the fact that he realized a lot of skills in himself that he was not aware of before. We started, working on building his profile and just understanding his skill sets and his abilities and qualities and what he needs to work on. So some things that we don't always think about is this something that I can do? You know how a lot of us are afraid of math? And we talk about SAT and we're like, oh my God, it's a math test. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I should do it. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to do this. It's just that fear. Until and unless you find someone who can actually push you, who can guide you, who can make math fun and easy, it will keep remaining that way. And that's exactly why and how counselors actually come into play, right? Whether it's walking up to your teacher and who can guide you, whether it is an education counselor, whether it is your parents. I think the first step is to do a little self discovery and discuss things a little more openly. And that's why it's so important for you to start exploring different careers, exploring your skill sets, trying to figure out where your passion and your strengths actually coincide. And that will help you decide your perfect career path. These are, of course, some of the top universities where our students go, and I'm sure that they're probably on your list as well. Whether you're looking to do an undergrad, master's, your MBA, or even a certificate program. Let's help you with a detailed college roadmap. So how many of you are actually applying to universities this year? Okay. Have you started planning? on what needs to be done? What is the next step? How are you going to do this? Do you have a list in mind? Do you have an Excel sheet ready? Not yet. We hate Excel sheets, right? But Excel sheets genuinely work. They help you plan things. They help you and work on deadlines. They remind you that okay, this is still pending. It's still a red sign there. We need to turn that green. Whether we hate or like Excel sheets, they genuinely work, and you should start working on them for sure. So the first step when you start is not directly jump in and start preparing. I think that's a mistake that all of us do. That instead of exploring, we start preparing. We're like, oh, I want to go to uni, I'm going to have to do an SAT. Do I need it? What do I want to study? What do I know? How do I explore different careers? That should be your first question. So the first step is explore. Your second step is to identify. Once you explore, you will be able to identify that, okay, this is where I'm leaning towards, maybe medicine, maybe engineering, maybe law, maybe business. But does it have to be these conventional paths? Not necessarily, right? It could be marine science. It can be, what else? What are the new age careers that you guys have heard of? AI, nanotechnology, gaming, right? People want to become vloggers and YouTubers and make the career out of that as well. Are there courses to do that? Do you know that they exist? Well, they do. Have you researched enough is the question. Then we will go up and we look at now what do we need to do to get there, to make your dreams come true? What are the requirements? What courses do I need? Or what exams do I need to take? When do I need to take them? That's your entire planning and that's your journey. To give you a quick nutshell, and feel free to take a picture of this if you would like, this will really guide you and help you prepare for universities. Your first step that universities look at is, of course, your grades in your entire high school years. You also want to look at any other standardized exams that are required, such as an SAT. You want to do a GRE, a GMAT, a UCAT, an LNAT. We also want to look at how do we stand out? How do we become a unique applicant? What makes us different from every other student who's going to apply to uni this year? How are you going to make yourself different? Have you thought about that? Everybody thinks about an MUN, everybody thinks about a Duke of Edinburgh, everybody thinks about a World Scholars Cup. These are such common options that we have in the Middle East. But what else can we have? What else do we have? Are you honestly telling me we have no more innovation, we have no other ways to show that we're unique? I'm sure that's not true. And there are plenty of things that you probably already do, but you're not aware of and you're not listing it anywhere because you don't think it's worth bragging about. But that's exactly where a counselor can actually help you pick every single strength and help you create a brag sheet, which will also help your teachers eventually to come up with a really good recommendation letter. Once you've done different activities to build your profile, and again, how do we work on building a profile? The most common assumption is, oh, I need to do 15 things and I need to have a checklist and I'm just going to tick box them. Do I have an internship? Do I have a course? Do I, have I done some volunteering? And then we're good, right? But is it really a checklist? Is that what you're aiming for? Is that what profile building is? That, oh, I have a checklist that I have to meet. Is it like a bucket list? It isn't, right? Your profile is not something that you tick off a checklist. Your profile shows your passion. It shows who you are. It shows your interests. It needs to come from a much deeper place. It cannot come from an Excel sheet or a checklist. It has to come from, this is something that I'm passionate about. I love playing football. Maybe I want to teach soccer to students, and that's my goal. And that's something that I'm passionate about. Does that make me stand out in an application for computer science? Believe it or not, it does, and it will. I'm a dancer, and I want to become a ballet dancer, but I also want to become a doctor. Can I combine these two passions? Will it really add value in my application? The answer is yes, it will. So it is not about a checklist. It is not about doing 15 things. It's about identifying those 3 or 5 things that you genuinely like, that you're genuinely passionate about, and that can show how it has changed you and the qualities that you have developed because you've been a part of it. And then comes, of course, the beautiful stories that we want to spin. So you have a fantastic profile, you have brilliant grades. How do we present this information? And that's where your essays come into play, right? So we want to write really, really good, strong essays. What is a strong essay? The more it is about you, the stronger the essay becomes. The more you make it boring and dull and academic, the farther it is from you and it doesn't describe who you are. For a lot of courses which do not have any interviews, your essay is your way to tell your story. It's your way to connect with somebody. And if an admissions officer is not tempted enough to read your story, then there's something wrong in the way we've written it, isn't it? So you want to start thinking a little bit more about how do I show me? How do I show who I am through this essay? And then, of course, you want to keep in mind the languages, the language requirements, the word requirements, etc. But that's secondary. Most importantly, you want to show what have you achieved, what are your goals, and what are your dreams, and how do you plan on working towards them. You don't want to write an essay to a UCLA and say, oh, UCLA is fantastic, you're ranked really high, you have amazing professors. They know that. They know how good they are. They know this information. It's there on the website, right? It's there on Google to find for everyone. But what research have you done? Can you name one professor at UCLA that you want to work with? If you've done that kind of in-depth research, that makes your essay stand out because you have actually taken the time and effort to learn more about where you want to study. You want to go to University of Amsterdam, you want to go to Trinity College Dublin, you want to go to University of Helsinki in Finland, you want to go to University of Western Australia in Australia. Do your research. Don't go by names, don't go by taglines, and don't go by ranking. It's all about finding that right fit university for you, and that can only come with research. So we start with a career assessment. A lot of us are often confused. What do I want to study? What do I want to do? We don't always know that, you know. It's a common presumption that, oh, I'm good at biology and chemistry. Maybe I should become a doctor. But do I really care about people? Like, am I compassionate enough to do that? Maybe, maybe not. I'm good at math. Oh, I should get into computer science. But do I enjoy it? Is that something that I want as a career for myself? Maybe, maybe not. How do we evaluate this? So don't follow trends blindly, right? Don't just look at, oh, everybody in my class is applying for medicine. I should do that too. Let me do UCAT. Or let me do an LNAT and become a lawyer because I watched Suits and that was impressive, right? How many of us here have actually watched Suits and said, I want to become a lawyer today? Or maybe watch Grey's Anatomy and say, I want to become a doctor. Happens though. I actually had a medicine applicant who worked with me for 2 years, very keen on medicine. And one day he comes up and he says, Miss, I know I want to become a lawyer, not a doctor anymore. And I was like, what changed? Like, in 2 years, you've always been about medicine. What changed now? And he goes, I watched Suits. And that was so, it was mind changing. And I was like, okay, maybe we're rushing in a little bit. Well, currently he's pursuing his third year medicine, by the way. So he did stick to his initial dreams, thankfully. So I think it's very important that we invest time in understanding what is it that we're actually genuinely passionate about. Because you're going to have to live with that career for the rest of your life. Not that you can't change in between, of course you can, but you have the ability to get the guidance and the counseling right now, which a lot of people in my age didn't. We were forced into different careers. We were like, if not science, if not medicine and accounting or law, then you're practically useless. Like if you're an art student, God forbid, I think you're just going to be kicked out of the house. But today, that's not how it is, right? There is so much creativity and there are job roles and there are different career paths that are coming up. Let's talk a little bit about some of those. Some of the new age careers that are extremely popular. Everybody wants to learn psychology. I think this has become so popular, especially after COVID. People have realized the importance of mental health. And parents are often worried, but what will a psychologist do? Like, are you just gonna put people on the couch and start talking to them, right? That's not the only thing that a psychologist does. You have psychology in corporates. You have psychology, you have organizational psychology. There are different types of psychology. You could become a clinical psychologist, a forensic psychologist, a child psychologist, a consumer scientist. Plenty of job opportunities within that field as well. Marine science. One of my students was, I want to get into marine science, maybe become a marine engineer, but she's scared of swimming and she does not know how to swim. Do you think it's possible to become a marine scientist without swimming at all? No? Not at all? Well, you can learn the course. Correct. You could do lab based jobs. You don't necessarily have to be a swimmer. Not always. There are always ways to figure out what you genuinely want to do. Film production. This is again a nightmare for parents. Usually, when their kids say, I want to go into the movies, they're like, really? Are you going to make money out of this? How are you going to make a career off of this? Right? We're always so afraid because we always think of either acting or singers, and that's about it. And that's where our knowledge ends as well, most of the time. There is so much more in the film industry that you could actually be getting into, and so many different courses and career opportunities, not just in films, but also in media, in journalism, in social media. There are plenty of opportunities. It's just a question of finding that right fit again. Product design, again, for creative people, for artists, media and communication. We have half the team here who can actually guide you into how to get into media and communication. Cybersecurity, again, very, very popular and a raising concern and issue these days with data protection and data security issues rising. Again, cybersecurity becomes a very, very popular subject and field that people want to explore. Entrepreneurship, everybody wants to run a business and make money as quickly as possible. Social impact consulting. Consulting is something that we don't often talk about, we don't often explore, but every single large organization would have consultants work for them or projects on which consultants come in and support them as well. Let's jump ahead a little bit. So how do we start exploring? We spoke about explore careers. How do we explore? Right? It's easy for me to stand here and say, go find out what does a psychologist do? Go find out what does a doctor do? But how do you actually find that out? The best ways are to work with people in that industry. So any of you who want to get into media and communication, you have access to all of these amazing people who work for Gulf News. Speak to them. Figure out what did they do, what was their journey, what was their education. Interview them. That is the best way to learn more about others, right? So interview people in different industries. You want to become a doctor? Go work with a doctor, intern with a doctor, shadow them, understand what their life is like. You want to become a film producer? Talk to somebody in that industry. And how easy is it to connect to these people these days with social media, with LinkedIn, with Instagram? Reach out to people. People like talking about their journeys, right? So figure that out. Do some virtual internships, do in-person internships. I understand being 15, 16, it is harder to find internship opportunities, but try connecting to people and you will always find options. You want to look at how to build your leadership skills. You want to look at how do you build your presentation skills, team building skills. At the end of the day, universities are not necessarily looking at just your technical knowledge or your ability in math and science, but they also want to see your soft skills. What is it that you actually bring to the table apart from academics? Technical skills, they can teach you. What they can't do is shape who you are as an individual, and that is something that they want to evaluate through your entire profile. So when we speak about showcasing passion, it is because we want to show them who we are, not because we're capable of doing well in math or science, but because there are multiple other things that we're actually good at as well. Travel. I think traveling is the best way to explore and just learn so much more about yourself, about another country, about cultures, about how people think, everything. All of you, well, not all, but I'm sure most of you have traveled to multiple countries, at least two countries for sure, your home country and then probably UAE as well, right? And a few nearby countries. So the more you travel, isn't there more that you've learned about food, about people? Haven't you all automatically become a lot more accepting of different cultures and more open to different ideas and thought processes? And that is exactly what traveling will do for you. Traveling is not just about, oh, I've been to 15 countries, I have those stamps on my passport, but traveling actually also teaches you to accept, to be more open to learning something new. and to learn more about supporting others and the things that people actually go through. So when we're talking about trips, it's not just about a vacation trip to Georgia. We could actually go to Nepal and build a school for people, or go to a place like a Zanzibar and do some cleaning up over there, right? Explore different courses. Internship is one way, but the second thing is, am I going to be able to learn this course? Am I going to enjoy learning this course? And the best way to do that is, again, to take up a couple of courses. There are plenty of online platforms available. Let's learn a little bit more about the subject that we hope to study. And then a lot of students ask me, but I'm doing 15 things. Does it really matter? Where does it even go? It goes on your application. It goes on your common application to the US. It goes on your CV. It goes on your UCAS application to the UK. It goes on your essays. It goes on to showcase who you are. And this is exactly how universities are going to assess and evaluate you as well. These are some of the upcoming deadlines you want to keep in mind for the next year's intake, especially for UK and US. These are some of our brilliant students who've gone into fantastic universities. And this is basically what UniHawk does. This is what we do here at UniHawk. We are education consultants, and we are passionate about what we do, because some of us have been misguided when we were youngsters, such as me. I took a psychometric test, which told me that I should get into accounting and commerce. I was really good at science and math, which was my favorite, but the test said commerce. And then I was like, that decided the fate for me. And I said, this is exactly what I'm going to do. I did my bachelor's in commerce with a specialization in accounting. I did my master's in commerce, but not one day of my life did I work in that field. I got into training because that was always my passion. Now I wish that I had a counselor who had actually guided me better and told me and helped me pick the right path for me. But unfortunately, I didn't have back then, which now you guys do actually, with a lot of admissions counselors, not just with UniHawk, but even with your school. Make use of your resources, speak to people. Don't fall into the trap of taking a decision which you will regret 4 years down the line. Any questions? Was a company in India. Everybody in the school did it. Very responsible, because there was no discussion. You see, this is what a lot of tests do. They make you take a test, and they give you some kind of a report which tells you random words that, oh, you're a leader, you're this, you're that, you have this skill and that skill. And then at the end, there's this one little list that says, these are the careers that we recommend for you. And then there's no discussion. There's no counselor to walk me through and help me understand, what does that test actually mean to me? What am I supposed to do with it? And then I was like, no, the test said this. This is what I'm going to do. And I still remember that conversation with my parents. And they were like, are you sure? Because you're so good at math and science. Why do you want to move into this? And I was like, the test said this is, I'm perfect for this. I'll ace it. I did ace it, although I hated it. So I did. I did. I was able to switch careers and got into training, and I'm into counseling, which is something that I genuinely love. So I think that's the best part about my day, is going to work every single day. I actually live in Abu Dhabi, and I travel every day to Dubai, because I genuinely love working with students. I am passionate about what I do, and I'm happy to go to work. So, any other questions? Okay, great. Thank you so much for being a fantastic audience.